Do you feel buried by the weight of your decisions? Does the fear of making the wrong choice, or the fear of what others will think, paralyze you? We live in a world that encourages passing the blame, avoiding responsibility, and telling people what they want to hear. But what if the path to a stronger life, a life of true impact, isn't found in comfort, but in accountability? There was a man who, in the flash of an eye, became the most powerful person on the planet, facing the end of a world war and the dawn of a nuclear age. He was not known for his eloquence, but for his decisiveness. His name was Harry S. Truman, and his wisdom was forged in the hottest kitchen imaginable. This is not just history. This is a guide to owning your life. This is the Radio Quotes. Part 1. The Weight of the Kitchen. We all want greatness, but we often forget what it costs. Truman understood this cost better than anyone. He said, "Responsibility is the price of greatness. It is the willingness to stand in the fire, to face the consequences of your choices." In the modern world, we are taught to deflect, to blame algorithms, to blame the system, to blame our past. Truman rejected this. He famously kept a sign on his desk. It was a simple phrase that defined his entire philosophy. "The buck stops here. The excuses end. The blame game is over. The final decision rests on your shoulders." If you are a parent, a student, an artist, or a CEO, that responsibility is yours. This is not a burden to be feared. It is a power to be claimed, because the moment you stop blaming others, you reclaim the power to change your own life. Of course, this path is not for everyone. The pressure is immense. The criticism is constant. This is why Truman gave his most famous warning: "If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen." He wasn't being cruel, he was being honest. If you are not prepared to handle the intense pressure that comes with responsibility, do not seek the position of power. It is better to live honestly in a role you can manage than to fail publicly in a role you cannot. Because when you accept the heat, you accept the duty. Do your duty, and history will do you justice. Stop worrying about the daily opinions of the crowd. Stop checking for likes, for approval, for consensus. Just do the right thing. History, he believed, would sort out the rest. Part 2. The anatomy of a decision. Once you accept responsibility, you must act. But how? How do you make the hard choices when the stakes are world-changing? Truman's entire presidency was a series of impossible decisions. He admitted his greatest fear: "I never worried about losing an election. I worried about making the wrong decision." This is the mark of a true leader. The fear is not personal loss. It is the fear of failing those you are responsible for. To combat this fear, he relied on relentless preparation. He said, "Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers." And he also warned, "The only thing new in the world is the history you don't know." Your decisions are only as good as your information. You cannot make good choices in a vacuum. You must read. You must study. You must understand the patterns of the past to navigate the crises of the present. You must You have to get around and listen to what people are saying. But after the reading is done, after the listening is finished, you must decide. You must act. The president has to decide. He can't pass the buck to anybody. And once you do, you must find peace with it. This is the hardest part. The doubt. The what-ifs. Truman's advice for this was practical. If you've done the best you can, there is no use worrying about it. You gather the facts. You consult your principles. You make the call. And then you let it go. You cannot live in agonizing second-guessing, because in times of crisis, it is action, not hesitation, that matters. Men make history and not the other way around. You are not a passive observer of your life. Your decisions create your history. He also knew nearly every crisis seems to be the worst one. But after it's over, it isn't so bad. The feeling of panic is temporary. The feeling of being overwhelmed is an emotion, not a fact. This, too, shall pass. Your job is to make the call. Progress occurs when courageous, skillful leaders seize the opportunity to change things for the better. Part 3. The armor of character. You can have responsibility. You can make decisions. But without the final ingredient, it will all crumble. That ingredient is character. Fame is a vapor. Popularity is an accident. Only one thing endures: character. In our world, we chase the vapor. We chase popularity. We build a brand. Truman reminds us to build character, and the foundation of that character is brutal, simple honesty. He was famous for his blunt, plain-speaking style. When criticized for it, he gave his most legendary reply: "I never did give anybody hell. I just told the truth, and they thought it was hell." People are often not ready for the truth. They prefer a comfortable lie. But leadership is not about comfort. It's about reality. The truth is the only tool that can actually fix a problem. Telling the truth to others is hard, but it starts with telling the truth to yourself. In reading the lives of great men, I found that the first victory they won was over themselves. You must conquer your own ego, your own vanity, your own desire to be liked. This is why, he said, it is amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit. The ego wants the credit. The character wants the result. When you are honest, your life becomes simple. You no longer need to manage a web of lies. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. This is the ultimate freedom, the freedom of a clear conscience. This is the core of integrity. A person who is fundamentally honest doesn't need a code of ethics. You don't need a rule book to tell you what to do when your internal compass is true. Good name and honor are worth more than all the gold. In the end, this is the only thing you truly own. The world is still a hot kitchen. Your life is still full of decisions. The buck still stops with you. You cannot pass the buck on your health. You cannot pass the buck on your career. You cannot pass the buck on your character. The wisdom of Harry Truman is a call to action. It is a call to stop wishing and to start deciding, to stop blaming and to start owning. If these words from the radio quotes gave you the courage to take the heat, please help us share this message. Like this video if you feel more decisive already. Share it with someone who is facing a difficult decision and needs to hear this. And comment below with the one Truman quote that you needed to hear today. Subscribe to our channel for more wisdom that helps you find solutions and master the challenges of life. Thank you for listening.